and welcome to The Smoke Break. I'm your host, Joel Palzane, here with Zoe Schwartz.
Hello.
Taylor Barrett.
What's up?
And Jamal Coleman.
Hey, it's me.
He's back.
Again.
He's back.
Trifecta.
That's right.
He's the thrice times.
Thrice times.
I
our
hate that
first
word.
thrice. Yeah.
That's
nice.
such a wrong
It's a
word.
sharp word.
It is.
It's a very sharp
You're
word.
our first thrice guest.
It doesn't get better the more you say it
Yeah.
either.
We're gonna
I
have
feel
to
like I
have-
rolled my R on the last one. Thrice.
Oh, thanks. I like to make a throuple with you
Sorry.
guys.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being our first throuple.
Okay.
This week,
Great episode.
this week we wanted to talk about the evolution of identity.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Evolution of identity. So tell me what you're thinking about with this. What's your angle?
Well, so the whole concept to me, I'm from South Central Los Angeles, and I've seen a lot of crackheads that could become preachers. I've known people who are homeless that are now millionaires. I've seen, even a bigger, more example that like Malcolm X was in jail as a gangster, and now he's a spiritual leader. So,
Right.
some people feel like they're
Right.
stuck in their identity and they can't transform. So I thought it would be kind of cool to bring to the smoke break.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that idea. I would say like I've transformed over like,
Same.
just the number the last 10 years, last 5 years. Like there was a point where I was smoking meth. There was a point where I was smoking meth in trailers. I don't know where else you smoke it, but I mean, that's where I had the most fun. And
I feel like a stab at white people.
I'm half white.
And
I'm
I'll accept
representing.
it.
Yeah.
He only smoked half the meth.
Yeah,
You are not wrong.
I'm trying to represent
One half of the
advocate for white people. They don't have enough.
The single wide.
But yeah, exactly. But yeah, I would say like, just over this amount of time, like over the last 10 years, my life has transformed. Like, how has your life transformed? Like last 10, 5 years?
I used to be the shyest person. I used to be stuck up. I wanted to be
You
an
used to be white.
accountant.
That would-
Oh my God. I wanted to make $80,000 a year, sit in my cubicle, and now I can't imagine that life. It will be boring. I'm
Yeah.
traveling all over the nation telling jokes and
Yeah.
dick jokes to strangers. I used to be the kind of guy who hears somebody tell a joke at work and be like, "That was so offensive. I can't believe they're talking about those people."
Unprofessional.
Yeah.
I'm going to go report it. And then I would report it and get fired.
I'm glad I met you later.
I'm glad I met me later.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. Well, I mean, I think we could all say that about
Right.
ourselves at a point. Is like there's some bizarro version of us that we were so much the opposite of ourselves, because I think we become who we are now because like we were a version of ourselves we didn't want to be, so we became the opposite of that.
Well,
Yeah.
some people get complacent with that identity, and some of us, you hate who you are so much that you either have to change or kill yourself.
Yeah. And sometimes for
depressing.
some people those are the same thing.
Exactly.
But I think it's like
I know,
it's
that's
killing a
true.
part of yourself that like we
Right.
should focus on is like
The ego
what's the
death.
part of myself that I disagree with so much that I want to separate from.
And I think that like acknowledging where that part of you came from too is really important. Like, was that like outside influence? Was that family? Was that trauma?
Right.
Yeah.
What allowed like me to foster this part of my identity,
Mhm.
and then like really hyper analyzing that and figuring out a way to like evolve from that.
So I really
It's my parents. It's all my parents' fault. I'm just kidding.
Thanks, Mom. I feel like that's a very surface level
I
thing
know.
to say.
I'm kidding.
It's my parents.
It's very, very easy to
My
blame the
childhood was worse than
environment.
yours.
It's really easy to blame the environment, but like
It's part of the story, but
It is part of the story. I'm from South Central Los Angeles. The environment is very serious and it is very influencing. I wanted to gangbang so bad when I was 13. You know what I mean?
I did
Nobody
too.
could tell me I couldn't.
and then you wanted to be an accountant shortly after. Weird.
The environment's crazy.
The hardest accountant.
Well, I was too
Gangbanger
nerdy.
accountant.
I was too nerdy to be the accountant or the gangbanger.
Oh,
I was like, damn, they kicked you out for being too nerdy to be an accountant.
The nerds kicked you out for being a nerd.
Damn,
Yeah.
you were a fucking nerd.
I was too hard to be a gangster, so I mean, I was fine.
I was the gangster's accountant. That's what ended up
The gangsters
happening.
were scared
I
of
was
me,
like,
so they wouldn't
guys,
let
you
me do
guys
it."
need to sell another quarter or we won't make the re-up.
This month's quota is not being met. Okay.
Swirl to the left, not to the right.
But what I really, like you guys know, I do a lot of studying with Tony Robbins and whatnot, and
Yeah.
go to a lot of his seminars. And
You
outside,
make it to those?
oh yeah, I do
That's
them all-
fucking dope.
I love them
That's
because
super sick. I feel
because they're
there's something there.
transformative.
Yeah,
And
that
they-
makes sense.
Tony Robbins, what he does is he goes and gets the best experts of every aspect of life, puts them together, and puts on like a show that so you can learn from it. And it's basically a how to be a human show.
The thing they should have taught us much sooner.
Right.
From our birth.
Yeah.
But you know, so that's most people that go to these Tony Robbins courses are in a negative situation, negative relationship, or suicidal, and they come out as people who are now advocates and saving people from self-harm or are becoming rich because he teaches you how to get out of your own way.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think it kind of takes the people who have been down that shit route to like tell you not to go down that shit route. Like, don't tell me not to do drugs if you've never done drugs. I don't trust you. I don't fucking trust you.
Yeah, because your perspective on it's going to be very shallow. It's going to be very, very surface level without having dipped into it and came out of it.
And that's what is dope about him because all the shit he teaches is the shit he went through. He would do self-harm. He was overweight and lost his way. He had a tumor in his brain and cancer and overcame it through health and diet and et cetera, et cetera. And so now he can speak on, you know, the basic human needs. And I wrote them down. So these are the basic human needs, variety.
Okay, variety.
Certainty, significance, connection or love, growth, and giving or contribution. Those are the things that drive us. And once you find out what is your thing, that's your why. And now you can transform to whomever you want to be. And on top of that, we're multidimensional beings, and I'll prove it to you. Do you know you're a multidimensional being because we're in this reality and something happens in this reality, and in your mind you're going, I wish this was this timeline. I woulda, coulda, shoulda, this over here.
Yeah.
So we're always thinking in all these different dimensions, and we're living in this one. Plus, you just had an internal dialogue. That's your inner dimension. And then you talk out, so your outer dimension. And then you have a whole nother realm of time and whatnot. So we have all these different dimensions that we're working on. And when you kind of put all your interest and energy into the one that is the actual timeline, you take your responsibility, accountability, you add some self-love, some self-worth. Now you can manipulate and shape that reality instead of wasting all of your energy on the woulda, coulda, shouldas and the other
Well, that's like also sounds like being present, like focusing your energy on the present and the things you have control over in the present.
Yes.
And that's also a big tenet of like meditation and lots of other strategies for mental health.
100%. And that's what helps you from having the negative self-talk and thinking about the past. And because all that does is create self-sabotage and delusion and creating a crystallized version of your identity that makes you stuck. You end up being Al Bundy. Well, I was so good in high school. You're the game. The game is the same way. I'm such a great rapper because of these times back in 2005.
Remember that one song? Well, something I was thinking about, like, I guess it does kind of tie into identity is like, I think that I'm stupid, right?
Right.
But I also have this internal dialogue that's like, you're stupid. But if I'm stupid, that means that voice is wrong, right?
Right. Well, that's
weird because I think I'm stupid and I think I'm the smartest person in the whole world.
That's duality.
That's a battle.
But is that your voice or is that somebody that told you were stupid when you were young and you made that your voice?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's what you have to distinguish as your, that's how you get rid of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like that's what Taylor was kind of talking about, was just like identifying like where it came from.
Yeah, and like figuring out why it's stuck there. What part of that was able to either latch itself onto you or were you hung onto it?
Yeah.
And, I also like I wanted to ask if there was like just the group, if there was anything that you like have been able to shed, any personality traits or like things that you've identified with that you were able to get rid of that you didn't really want to, like because like for me it was just like putting up with a lot of shit, and that was a really difficult thing for me to get be optimistic or like to not be optimistic about. I was always like, maybe this will get better. It's something that I'm still working on, but that's something that I've gotten a lot better at. That was really hard for me to be like, I can't be so optimistic. I have to be a little bit more realistic about situations that are negatively impacting me. But
that was something that you felt like you had to, part of you that you had to shed.
Yeah, that I didn't want to.
But you didn't want to.
I really appreciated that part of myself that I was able to be a lot more optimistic about situations instead of like acknowledging the pessimism.
The realism.
Yeah, the realism.
He's stuck on the side of the road. It's raining. It's about to start snowing. No, everything's fine, guys. That's that meme with the guy with the house is on fire.
It's
fine.
Dude, when I saw that, I fucking felt that.
But
What about you, Zoe?
Well, I was going to say, it sounds like part of you did want to shift, you know what I mean? Or part of you knew that there was a reason why you needed to shift.
There was necessity in being more realistic.
The more I experienced
it. Or the con started to outweigh the pro or something,
absolutely.
Right? Like,
yeah,
so it shifted.
The more I experienced it, the more I realized that was like severely negatively impacting me, and that I thought that I just deserved a little bit better than hanging on to situations or experiences that severely negatively impacted me and seeking ones that were like positively impacting me.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeking those out has been, I'm still very new at that. I'm still very inexperienced at it. But like that's just something that I've been wanting to do. And that was something that was very hard for me to shed.
Yeah. From my perspective, it sounds like, there's only two really things that make you change your identity. It's either some traumatic incident happens and you have a response to it, or you take massive action because you're so fed up or something like that. You doing crack for so long, you're like, I'm tired of doing crack. I'm gonna change my life.
Well, I think it has to become a certain amount of painful. You know,
take
like
control.
If it's not painful enough, it's just like this itch. You know,
like hitting rock bottom.
Right.
Yeah, like hitting rock bottom, or as opposed to like tripping. You know, it's just like you might trip 100 times, and then tripping is annoying. You know, but like not as annoying as fucking hitting your face.
It's sustainable.
Yeah, tripping is sustainable. You're still moving forward, but it's like sometimes it takes like those large amounts of like pain or like just shift and transformation in your life for you to get to a place where you're even ready to change.
I heard a phrase one time long. I don't even remember where it's from, but it just went. You need to be disgusted by something in order to want to change it. And like that resonated a lot. And so I like things that I'm looking to change. I'm trying to find ways that I can experience a level of like disgust almost, so that I can be like, I don't like this.
You're
I need
repulsed by it.
You know, it makes me think about you. Like you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in order to grow.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is that the human brain is 1 million years old, and you have to update the software yourself. Otherwise, you get stuck in a program, and the program is
I might die.
No, I just do the Apple thing where I just say later. You know, like update later tonight, later tonight, later tonight.
The program
hopefully while I'm sleeping it'll update.
And it doesn't. And the program is real easy. It's like stay in a familiar hell or change. And your brain is like, it's easier to stay, hell.
Yeah, it's easier because it's uncomfortable to change.
Change
and
is uncomfortable.
And you have to look at all this shit about yourself and that's why some people can't do it. And
that's
why therapy is helpful and help shit.
That's what I was saying about Taylor. He didn't need therapy. Like he looked at his.
I need therapy. I need therapy. Still in therapy.
In that moment, you were able to take control of your life and be like, I need to make a change, even if it was uncomfortable.
Definitely,
you took control of your life, and that's ultimately how you create your identity. Is taking control, taking accountability. Stop blaming everybody else. Stop blaming your environment. You people sell crack down the street, but it doesn't mean you can't read books every fucking night. You can't go to night school and you can't make something different.
I think that like past events and experiences and environment do play a role, but it's like I think that like people's reactions, like just the proof that like two people can come from the same place and come out of it in a completely different way is like it speaks to how much importance there is in understanding that like I have to make something of this.
Right.
Like whatever this is, I have to make something of this because somebody is making something much better of something far worse. But like the only reason they're doing it is because like they're too dumb to not believe in themselves.
Right.
I just had a thought. It's like you have to accept because there are limitations. Like there is power, there is privilege, there is oppression, there is hierarchical things that give us more access. But also, I think for me, this is what I realized is like you have to accept those things and then also take responsibility for the changes that have to exist. So it's like I think if we blame ourselves 100% or if we decide that like the way I need to be is different because of all these things, but maybe you have to be like, okay, well, maybe the reason I'm not like that is because of this, that, and the other thing that I didn't have control over.
Right.
What do I have control over? Yes. How can I navigate the barriers that do exist for me? And how can I take responsibility for that while also not blaming myself for not having access to all of the things I needed to be where I want to be?
Stop blaming yourself for anything.
But I know that guy. Like that's the thing that I think we said like last episode was just that like the biggest drawback to knowing to being your own biggest bully is that like you know everything about you.
Right.
You have all the dirt on you.
You've got all the dirt on you.
So my favorite thing now is is I would love to control my negative self-talk. I'm talking to myself. I wake up in the morning, I was like, good morning, sunshine. How you doing, baby? Are you hungry? You want me to fix you something to eat? I'm talking to myself like I fucking love me.
Yeah.
And then when I'm doing shit that I should, where I'm not holding myself accountable for something, like, oh man, I really need to stretch. My back is hurting. I really need to stretch. And I said that 3 days in a row. Then I let my fucking little inner demon out and I started negative. Oh, you need to stretch. Your back is hurting, but you ain't stretching? You little bitch. Why you complaining about your back if you not stretching then? Oh, you just gonna lay in the bed complaining about your back? You a little bitch right now. You ain't shit right. And I'll let all that hurt out. And then I'll be like, let me get my ass up and stretch. And then I give myself all that self-love and that awareness.
But it was kind of like you needed that kick in the ass, because it's like my best friends are always the ones who tell me how it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whether it's fucking good, whether it's bad, they tell me how the fuck it is. And sometimes I need to be that to myself, but if like I can't always be that person to myself.
You get
that is not
when you get off the stage. A lot of comedians do this. We get off the stage and people are like, "You're the best. You're so funny. You're funnier than this person. You're one of my favorite comedians I've ever seen in my life." And every comedian is like, "I forgot to do this joke. I didn't do this tag.
I said this weird part.
I did this. I flubbed up this line." No one saw that. You're beating yourself up for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
For no reason. And you're hurting yourself and you're criticizing yourself. But how much time do you spend going, damn, I fucking killed it, man. I did the thing that I really wanted to do up there. Regardless of what, I'm a human being. I'm going to make mistakes. This is an imperfect art form in general. Yeah. We're like talking and orating. The fact that I got here and had the confidence and the ability to come and do 10, 20, 15, whatever time, I should get all this praise. I expressed myself. I did all the things that I was creative. Like I got some laughs. I got a laugh. Like I shared an idea that I wrote on a fucking napkin today that I get tonight, and I got instant gratification from it. Yeah. And I need to give myself way more grace and credit for that. These people enjoyed themselves tonight, and that was the point.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was it.
Positive self-talk has a lot to do with being able to turn into or to like grow in the ways that you want to grow, or to push yourself out of your comfort zone.
And getting out of your comfort zone is how you change your identity.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to take a real quick break and we will be right back with the smoke break. And welcome back to the smoke break. I'm your host, Joel Pal Zane, here with Zoe Schwartz.
Hi.
Taylor Barrett.
What's up?
Jamal Coleman.
What up?
What up?
Coolest way to say what's up.
The shades fall from the sky.
I want to do it like an old school cowboy where you're like, you rise in on the wind.
Ooh, goddamn.
Exactly.
Goddamn.
Howdy, partner.
Those are the two very different cowboys.
That was like a gay cowboy.
Yeah. Howdy.
Several other inappropriate ways to say hi that I'm not going to do right now.
Hey. Oh, man, I've always wanted to do that. Okay, here we go. So anyways, took a lot of belief in myself. I don't know. That was a transition. To be able to do that. Speaking of cowboys.
Oh my God.
But yeah, belief in self-belief. Self-belief for me is something that I guess I struggle with. I exist. Yeah. Oh, thank God. Okay. Yeah. It felt like a dream this weird whole last week. But yeah, belief in self is something that I guess I find difficult. Just because it's like you have to keep you motivated. Like the world isn't going to keep you motivated. You're not going to find the perfect YouTube video. It's going to be like, keep going, motherfucker. It's important. Like nobody believes in your dreams. The song that you hear, nobody hears until you spit it. Like the joke that you have to tell is only going to work after you perfected it. Like you have to push you. What are your thoughts on self-belief, Zoe?
Well, I would say I struggle with it too. I mean, I know I exist, but I struggle to believe in myself. Yeah. And I think, well, like what Jamal was saying at the end of the last segment, like it is powerful the way we talk to ourselves. And and I think it's honestly probably like one of my biggest challenges in life is to have better self-confidence and to believe in myself more. So yeah, I would just say that it's hard and I'm working on it.
Hard but necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on it. But yeah, I think talking to yourself differently, I think is a huge part of it.
Yeah. But I'm the primary voice in my head right now.
And Yeah. Yeah. And I think one thing that I think is something I try to teach to people, I should probably practice what I preach more, but I think it's noticing like some people for example, speaking of transformation, like when in the past I would talk shit to myself and I would just believe it at face value. I was like, yes, I'm less deserving of the things that I want in life because of these hierarchical beliefs that I was given as a young person. I didn't have an opportunity to question them. Everybody around me believed them. And then I finally got to this breaking point in my life where I was like, something has to give. And I changed a massive part of myself. It turns out it wasn't the secret, but the secret lay under that big change, which was me realizing that I didn't need to change. I needed to learn how to love myself. And so I went through this massive transformation where I lost like 100 pounds, and I was like, went from being like totally a victim to like, and I got off drugs, and I'm like the person who lost 100 pounds. I'm fit girl, whatever. And then that shit started to be not the thing. Like it wasn't doing it. You know what I mean?
Your idea of who you wanted to be kind of
changed from one identity to a next, but it still wasn't you.
But what I learned more than anything throughout that was that I learned how to question where that voice comes from, and I learned about all the systemic things. I educated myself about fat phobia, and I learned that it's directly connected to all the other systems of oppression. In fact, it's rooted in white supremacy, and so then I was able to unpack all of it, right? Everything that hurts your feelings, shame is not ours, it's the fucking root of all evil. But so I think like realize. So now when I talk shit to myself, it's not. I mean, it's still there and it's still hard, but I have a different lens where I can be like, that's not how I really feel. Like those are not my values. I understand this self-loathing or bad self-talk in a way that I didn't before, where I just thought I deserved to feel that way.
You thought it was just your inner voice, but it's that's how the world is spoken to you.
Yes, and I learned that in order to combat it, I have to get angry about where that came from, and I have to question it, and I have to talk back to it.
Yeah,
and so I think
similar like Taylor's disgust, where it's like I have to get angry at
I think being angry is one of the only things that keeps me going, because those voices and those messages are all still there all the time. But I have to remember that I don't deserve to feel that way, and the fact that I did is something that was imposed on me by a system that I don't believe in, and that hurts other people that I care about that are more oppressed than I am. You know, so that was my
I appreciate
awakening.
I love that. Yeah, that was dope. I feel like everybody has that voice. I've been able to change that voice to like a goofy voice.
So, like the voice of Goofy, or just a silly voice?
I tell people to patronize it. Like, oh, there you are again.
Exactly when I hear my negative self-talk, when I'm not doing it for motivation or discipline,
patronize it.
I hear it like that. It's like when I get off the stage and you didn't fucking make anybody laugh tonight, did you? And I'm like, shut your dumb ass up. I fucking killed it. What are you talking about? Everybody's patting me on the back.
I actually saw you do it the other night. You were like, I don't know if I'm going to do the thing, and then you walked back up to me and you were like, what the fuck am I talking about, Zoe? You're like, I'm fucking funny and I'm gonna do that shit. And you went out there and you fucking crushed it. And I didn't tell you that yet, but I saw him shift his self-talk from one extreme to the other in like a 5-minute moment, and then he went and killed and did the set he wanted to work on.
This is something I learned from being a hip-hop artist too, and I think it was a quote from
hip-hop artists believe in themselves.
And I think I got it from MC Lyte, and back in the day, you used to have a CD on you want to give it to a big rapper, and they'd be like, is this shit fire? And you'd be like, yeah, it's cool. Like, if you don't tell me this is the best rap album you've ever heard in your life, then why am I taking this from you? If you don't believe in yourself, then why would I believe in you? And that, just as a marketing and a business and an entertainer standpoint, that aspect, you have to believe in yourself.
Why would you buy from a salesman who says that it's
But like, on a human level, our belief systems are our superpowers. That's why placebos work. If you believe it will, if people beat cancer, when people are like, you have 4th stage cancer, you have a tumor in your eyeballs, and you're gonna die tomorrow, and they're like, fuck it, I'm gonna spend all my money and go to Thailand and live forever, and they fucking do. Because of the way they believe, you can. All of a sudden, they go back to the doctor, and you have no more tumors in your eyeballs. Everything is fine.
I've definitely had like experiences with like friends and family members who have like believed themselves through something that you're like, oh, that's just like that's finite, like that's definite. That's what it is.
So that's you were talking about like people who were women who especially like with women, because they have so much patriarchal weight on them and so many more standards to cross. There's so many business women that came out through in the 80s and the 90s where it's like, this is a man's world or whatever, that are CEOs and bosses now who never had any opportunities, they had to make it themselves. And it's because they believed in themselves. But it takes a community too. You have to get rid of the assholes in your life and surround yourself with positive people. You have to have a community to support you and be like, you can do it. Because sometimes you can't show up, fully for yourself every fucking day. It's tough.
Sometimes you need somebody to just hype you up. Taylor's fucking great at that. I appreciate that.
And that's why people go get significant others. You can do it, babe. pat you on the back. It's okay. Tomorrow will be another day.
Yeah. That's that is definitely a part that I miss.
And that like is an example of how like humans need each other.
Exactly.
We're community oriented creatures, and we can't always. And that's why, and that's why people go to therapy, because even the smartest person might struggle to be kind to themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about you, Taylor? How do you talk to yourself?
Well, self-talk's weird because I feel like I try to approach things from like a very logical standpoint. So like it gets really complicated when I'm trying to think through things logically and be honest about situations with myself. And it's hard for me to notice that I'm experiencing negative self-talk, because I'm just under the impression usually it's with this cloud of like, well, it's probably logical, and it's difficult to navigate my way out of that. And I also think that wanting to push yourself and believe in yourself is weird when you're approaching it next to seeking contentment. We've done an episode on like seeking contentment instead of happiness. If you're like constantly pushing for happiness, then you're never going to appreciate the things around you. But if you're also just sitting in contentment, then you're never going to want to push yourself. And so that those two things next to each other just end up butting heads a lot. And you I think both are very important. You have to appreciate the things around you while also believing that you deserve more, that you believe like you believe in yourself enough to deserve what you want out of life. You deserve to like hit your goals, and you deserve to hit your milestones and push yourself.
That makes me think about what we were just talking about, like how presence serves us towards the future. And like some people think if I'm too present, then I'm not focused on the future. But I think that's a good example of how, or a good way of talking about how like being present, we can still also hold space for who we want to be in the future while finding a balance between those two things.
It also, to me, it sounds like a battle between self-love and external validation. A lot of people are into personal growth. I'm into personal growth. Can I be better than I was yesterday? So I'm really put a lot of energy into my own self and my self-love and my worth, and so that I can be disciplined and have a vision so that I can follow. I'm looking in the future, I'm seeing the vision, and then I'm having belief in myself that I'm going to make it to this, and I just stay
and
disciplined
doing what you need to do in the moment to get there, instead of being like, well, how the fuck
but I'm doing it for myself. Whereas some people are like, external validation. I have to get on Kill Tony.
Internal validation.
I have to go crush so people say you're the fucking illest. I have to, whatever trophy or achievement you want to have on the outside.
I think what it is it's like it's hard to like have that balance between, because like everybody's just like, if you don't love yourself, how could anybody else love you? You know? And it's just like, I do believe that to a certain extent, but it's just like, I think that you can find the value in yourself through seeing yourself in other people's eyes.
Right. Absolutely.
At other times too,
we need
so
people too.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't think that it's necessarily like, it's all one or the other, because it's like
100%.
Because there's just too much of like, yes, you have to be able to love yourself to be able to accept the love that you actually get, and
like feel it.
And to feel it, absolutely. Yeah. But like, to say that like, somebody's saying good job when you did a good job. Like, I had somebody tell me good set who's never told me good set the other night.
Right.
And I was just like, you know what? Like fucking, I needed that. Like, I just, it made me feel like I was on the right track,
No, 100%. It's validating.
Exactly. But to only seek that would be detrimental to myself.
Right.
But to never seek it, I don't think is headed in the right direction either. Because it's like, you do want to know that your shit's good.
It's helpful to have it. So it's like, especially, this is a great example, especially as being a comedian. So let's say you're doing a big show at a big club, and you've been rehearsing your set, and you're like, I got this. You got all the self-love, positive talking. You go do it, and Tony Rock or Chris Rock is come by. He's like, hey man, that was really funny. Or just sitting in the green room with somebody like that is like, this is validating. I am where I'm supposed to be. I these are my peers now. This is like, I'm on the right path. I'm on the right track. And it makes you want to fulfill your self-fulfilling prophecy or your destiny. It makes you feel more positive, and it reinforces the self-love. So it's you need both.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, fuck everybody's feelings. I'm gonna go out here and
I'm gonna hype myself up every day, even on my shittiest days. And it's like, you can think that, but like, it's exhausting.
We've all seen these guys. They wear blazers and their hats backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
They know a lot about stocks.
Their marketing, their Bitcoin. You've seen these guys.
I really like the sentiment of like wanting to be better than you were yesterday, because I think that strikes like the perfect balance in between being present and content while also seeking to improve yourself. Right. You're not viewing this like extreme out there. Like you can still have year-to-year goals and like big plans, but you're more concerned about making day-to-day improvements. That's very prescient,
it's tangible too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Life isn't huge changes. Life is 1%
every day. Little bit.
Being 1% better than you were yesterday.
If you're a tractor, it's really easy to just get on the same track, and it doesn't take a huge wheel jerk to get off the track. It just takes a little shift, and then you can just bump over and get into the new track. That's life. When you hold your shoulders like this little bit of like 1% shoulder forward, you have no confidence. This little shoulder back, you have all the confidence. It's a little shifts in life that change the entire life. And who the people are around you and how they communicate with you is how you change your life. Then it affects your identity. It affects how you talk about yourself. And then ultimately, if you get in a position where, let's say, like you're a therapist. It's not like you were a little kid. It was like, I want to be a therapist when I grow up. Maybe your parents had that for you or whatnot. But then when you became a therapist, how did you feel? It was like, am I a therapist?
Yeah, it was weird. It was really weird.
I'm a therapist.
Sometimes when I first started, sometimes I would sit there with my notepad and I'm all, writing something. And I'm all, who the fuck do I think I am?
Like, watching yourself in the reflection.
I'm like, if they knew what I did at nighttime on stage.
And then you develop imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Also a dynamic identity. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's you.
Sorry.
You did it. We're fine. No, we landed it. Stuck the landing. Imposter syndrome, which is what we'll talk about right after the break.
What I said was better. And welcome back to the Smoke Break. I'm Zoe Schwartz. I'm here with Zane Thomas.
Hello.
Taylor Barrett.
Hey.
And Jamal Coleman.
Hey, baby.
Yeah. And
Sup, girl?
Sup, audience. We're going to talk to you about imposter syndrome.
Ooh, imposter syndrome.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Because I am an imposter. I'm just kidding.
This isn't the real Zoe. We got this
face off like face off.
No, yeah, because I think we get imposter syndrome when we push ourselves outside of our comfort zones, when we shift and grow into something that we didn't previously think we were capable of being. And I think that's often where the imposter syndrome comes from, is that there's part of us that knows that we can do it because we did it. But then there's part of us that, well, I guess in my experience, I'm thinking of it from the lens of like achieving something that you thought you couldn't, and then coming to terms, like you guys asked me about being a therapist. Yeah. So from that, because I guess it can also go in the opposite direction where it holds you back. But that's how I'm thinking about it. So yeah, so I think it's like finding that balance between the part of yourself that was comfortable being who you were before, but who wanted to shift and change, and then sitting with the uncomfortableness of not lining up with who you thought you were, even though it's who you want to be.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So I think for me, it's like with becoming a therapist specifically, I think it's just like, yeah, I have so many old messages about who I am and what I'm capable of, and and who I am as a human. Like, why would someone want to ask for my advice? I'm a hot mess, like,
right.
You know, I mean, obviously I'm not that much of a, but that's.
No, I wasn't agreeing that you are a hot mess, but I mean, I've been.
Part of me believes that still, so yeah. So I think just, it's weird, like having to sort of figure out how to believe in the version of yourself that you've achieved, and believe that you deserve that you've achieved it, and that you belong in this new space. And that was really hard for me. But I think I've always known that there were some things about me that made me want to be a therapist, because I knew I was good at, which is like connecting with people, helping people feel seen and heard, and like helping people feel less shame by, like, I'm really good at like normalizing things. And I feel really strongly that people shouldn't feel shame, even if I don't understand their experience. I've felt so much shame in my life that I want other people to, and when I started to heal and I work like that stuff we were talking about in the last segment, when I started to work through the shit and understand where the messages came from, I realized how important it is to help people figure out where their shame comes from.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between agreeing and empathizing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like I've had clients tell me, egregious shit.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I'm not a fan that you did that.
Yeah.
I really wish that you wouldn't have, but like me making you feel bad about this isn't going to make you want, it's not going to make you want to change because the whole world's been making you feel bad about this and you're still doing it.
Right.
So like what space can I hold that will allow you to work through this, to feel through this?
Yeah.
Just a process.
So I think I just realized too that like what I want to do to help people is part of what I'm doing as doing it, like it's very meta. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to believe in myself that I'm capable, but then how I realized it is I have this, that's what I was getting at. Yeah. Is that like I have this innate part of myself that can do that for people and I see how it works and I've had that my whole life. And so I think it's reconnecting with the part of yourself that brought you to that place kind of. So I guess like maybe like the values that I have that I realized I would be good as a therapist and reminding myself that those values exist and that I can lean on those. And when I lean on those skills that I have and I trust that the other skills will come, then I feel like I'm good enough to be a therapist, So I think
that's it right there. Self-value.
Yeah.
You found the value in your worth from your innate skills to help you with something that is a technical job or whatnot.
Yeah.
So it helps you identify with the job so you can go, oh, I'm not an imposter because I have these skills that this job requires.
Yeah. I think something you said was just like if somebody read your resume to you.
Right.
That like tripped me out.
Oh,
yeah.
Like I think this is a good exercise that anybody could do is like have somebody randomly put your resume in a pile of resumes and don't tell them the names and pretend like you're trying to hire this person and have them read your resume to you. And be like, wow, that guy is impressive. And you're like, that's you.
Yeah.
What? I did all those things?
No.
We have a hard time accepting our achievements, man.
Absolutely.
And when you can accept your self-worth and your self-value, you can have the inventory for self-value and go, these are the things I'm really good at. These are things I'm weak at and I can work on these. Yeah. And then you create that worth. This is my worth because of this value. Then you accept your achievements. Like,
it gives you the space to work on the stuff.
I did go to college and I do have a bachelor's degree to be a therapist. I did a master's degree to be a therapist.
That's a reasonable correction.
But you didn't have enough imposter syndrome to not acknowledge that.
I also have a bachelor's degree because you have to get one first.
But then you also have knowledge too. So you have all this.
And I had privilege that helped me get it, which I would like to acknowledge.
Happy Black History Month.
Exactly. We're not going to pretend like I just slipped and fell on my master's degree.
But the fact that you can take that equity and create that. You know your knowledge, you know your value, you know your worth, you accept your achievements. That helps you validate knowing, because the thing is like you can't become who you want to be remaining who you are. And if you try to become who you want to be thinking you can remain the same person, that's when you get that imposter syndrome, and that's just a form of self-sabotage. So it could either go good or bad for you, but once you start self-sabotaging, then the negative self-talk.
Yeah. What do you know about self-sabotage?
I don't know anything about self-sabotage. I think that I put myself on the path to success constantly, and I don't deviate from it because that would be me messing it up, not the world messing it up. And no, I think self-sabotage is like a control thing, and I think it helps us maintain whatever identity that we've built. It's just like I'm the person who messes things up. So if I'm messing this up, I'm fulfilling that identity of the person who
don't call me out like that.
Yeah.
You're reinforcing your beliefs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Subconscious or not.
Well, it's I've built an identity. I have this belief about myself, and so in order to perpetuate that, I have to keep doing things that keep me in the same spot that I'm at. What are your experiences with deflecting, Taylor?
My experiences with deflecting. I think self-sabotage is really brutal. I really liked what you brought up about like acknowledging your achievements, because I feel like once people hit those achievements, they're no longer achievements. They're just like little milestones to a now bigger achievement that they've set. Like
we raise the bar for ourselves.
Exactly. And so now that achievement, you don't even get to feel the success and power from anymore, because now the bar has moved. We're like, okay, yeah, I got my master's degree, but like I'm not technically a therapist yet, and now I'm a therapist, but like maybe I'm not as good as I wanted. But we're like, you just keep moving the bar farther and farther. But those are all achievements that you've made, and I feel like imposter syndrome, like as a personal set of examples, like it's affected me from everything from just like playing video games. If I get a really good rank one season, I'm like, maybe I got carried. Maybe all my teammates were just way better than me. But then even becoming like a social worker, I'm like, maybe I'm not deserving. Maybe I just got lucky and like killed the interview, and now they want to get rid of me or something. There's constantly ways where I'm not validating myself enough, and even if some of those things are like partially true, that doesn't change the fact that you like hit those milestones, that you hit those achievements.
You could be friends with somebody there and still fuck up the interview.
Exactly.
You know
that's also true.
So it's like,
that's also true. And your team could carry you, and you still got the winning shot.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true. Yeah.
Well,
it's a team effort.
I think that's a really good point that you bring up, is just like the excuses that we make for like why it worked out. You know, it's just like, well, if it did work out, it's only because this happened. And if it did work out, if it goes wrong, it's all my fault. If it goes right, it was a fucking it was a fluke.
Either way it goes, you're catastrophizing.
Yeah, exactly.
The positive or the good. So take the time.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to take the time, I'm a realist too, and I'm a very logical person too. So I
try to be.
I take the time to go, this might go bad. This set could go bad. This could be bad. They could throw shit at me. They could spit on me. They could cuss me out. Then I also take the time and be like, I might get a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Both are equally true.
Both are equally true. Well, Fear and faith are the same thing.
Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yes.
That's what I always say.
I think something that like I had heard recently was just like playing through a thought.
Yes.
You know, because it's like we initially just think like this bad thing's going to happen, and we think the first part we just like circular think on like the first bad thing happening, and instead of doing that, it's like, okay, if that happens, then I'll have to do this, and if that happens, I guess I'd have to do this. But if this happens, I guess I would. And you can eventually get to you can come up with a strategy. You can play through it. But if you're just like thinking of like if this one bad thing happens and everything fucking falls apart,
it's like all or nothing thinking and how it doesn't serve you.
I think it's fair to yourself too to like, if you're imagining something going a certain level of bad, to like consider what the equivalent of it going good would be. Like if it's level 5 bad, what would level 5 good look like too? And to like try to restore the balance. That's harder to do because it's easy to just like spiral on the bad things. But like you said, making a plan for those things can help you navigate and be a little more realistic about
problem solving too, which we've talked about before.
And psychologically, visualization works. The more you think about doing something over and over again and practicing, whether it's good case or bad case scenario, help you prepare for when you actually do it. And when you actually do it, your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. And it's like, okay, I've prepared for this scenario. That's why flyers do the flight simulation. Then they get into a real plane and they know how to
flyers.
The flight simulation. Passing out flyers on the street.
Pilots.
I was like, what did you say that was wrong? I don't get it.
Them too. You know, those flyer guys.
Sorry.
I use my 1920s lingo. Bring it
that was the brothers that made the flying machine.
Also, those flyer men.
I wanted to add also that like it's really easy to just consider, well, maybe I just got lucky, and it's like,
I do that.
Cool. Why is that a bad thing?
Exactly.
It's that's dope to be lucky sometimes.
Identify with being a lucky person. What's wrong with that?
Roll with it. There's nothing wrong with being lucky.
You get more lucky.
Totally. I have a friend who identifies as being an unlucky person, and it drives me nuts because she'll be like, well, this thing's about to happen, and there's a small chance this bad thing. And she's like, but it's probably going to happen because the bad shit always happens to me. And I was like, you got to fucking quit talking to yourself like that.
I'm guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah, I do too.
There's a lot of people do that. And this is what I say. And this is, I don't know, this is just kind of my belief, man. Let's say something bothers you. It changes your attitude, and then it changes your mood, and you have that mood for a few days. Now it's changing your temperament, and then your temperament's changed for a few months, and now it's changed your behavior. Now it's changed your character. Now it's changed your personality. Now you identify as this person. I'm a complainer. I'm a miserable person. I'm a crackhead. I'm a shopaholic. Whatever you keep telling.
The seed grew into a tree because you watered it.
You keep telling yourself that same story, and the only way you're going to change your identity and change your life is to change your story. Stop telling yourself this story that you're this person. Tell yourself the opposite. You know what? I'm a kind and caring, giving person. I'm not an asshole. And then go prove it to yourself. And then accept the fact that you might not be sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, something that like I had said was, like, I hope to be a, like not a bad person. And they're just like, but you're a good person. And I was like, Well, I mean, not bad is like the same thing, you know? And it's like, no, it's not. That's like what we say so that way we can get away with not being, you know, how you doing? Not bad. Just say fucking good.
Yes.
Just say fucking good.
Words have meaning. A lot of people, especially nowadays, especially I feel like we're younger people, we kind of use these general terms. It was epic. And I'm like, no, identify it.
Unless it's the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Even then.
Yeah. The Taj Mahal.
Okay.
Words have meaning. Be mindful of the story you're telling yourself. Believe in
Except for
yourself.
Trump owns it.
Have some self-love, some self-acceptance. Don't be delusional. Don't crystallize your identity because we're ever evolving and changing daily.
Yeah.
It's like being realistic in your self-perception, like being realistic and acknowledging the things that are good about you and having space for them and not downplaying them while also acknowledging that there's ways you could grow and change, that you could be better. And it's really about finding the balance between those two.
Yes.
Yep. And using the right word, I think it's good to have a good lexicon to just be to be able to identify specific things.
Little words like that. Yeah. Like saying, I think I like this one. I like saying thank you instead of saying sorry.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for being patient with me instead of apologizing.
Even though I apologize to you guys
and
3 times about being late.
That adds more gratitude to your life.
Thank you for being patient.
And then when you say sorry, you beat yourself up too.
Well, it sends the message that it's okay that I needed more from these people right now, but I'm going to show up for them and let them know I appreciate it versus I'm sorry I exist and I need things sometimes.
Sorry, I take up space.
Because now I'm calming you instead of you like acknowledging that like we're working together and trying to make it happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's being more considerate of someone's feelings instead of just blaming your own feelings.
Yeah.
It's more inclusive with you and the other. It's more like collaborative.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's love.
Community.
That's love. Well, speaking of that's love, it has been nothing but love. Thank you so much, Jamal, for joining us this week.
Thanks, Jamal. We appreciate you.
I love you guys.
We love you too.
We love you too.
You bring out the best in us.
Great episode. My self-talk just got so much better.
That has been The Smoke Break. We are here every week. Check us out on Mondays on Spotify at 6 p.m. Later, players.
Peace out.
Bye.